you had 4 gigs in one day. Is that true?
Uh, well, not yesterday, but I've had them sometimes.
What's that
Um,
all about? How's that work? Four in one
well,
one day.
I have I have been playing in a children-oriented band called Kengurumeininki for 20 years. Right now, I'm not doing it, but in the busiest moment of that band, there were like you know there were like months when like some Mays in years like I might have like 50 gigs in a month. So
Okay.
that's what when we do like 4 shows, and if it happened to be like Friday, then I might have like a theater show in the evening, and in the night, like in the middle of the night, I might have some cover rock and roll show or something. So that's how it happens.
I sort of know what you mean, and anybody listening, like playing for children is a completely different story. Of course, when you play for adults that are drinking and having a good time, it's pretty easy to get to win the crowd over generally if you're playing
Yeah,
music that they like. But for children, it's very tough. I used to play in this band called CKY, and we did this show on the U.S. It's called Yo Gabba Gabba. It's a big children's show, and the host of
yeah,
that show, he wanted to incorporate rock and roll bands into the show, and it was very interesting. We show up and they have this stage that we set up on, and he pushes out to the crowd. And we went on and we played one song just very quickly, and
yeah.
we didn't know what to expect, and all of a sudden we were getting pushed out, and as we're getting pushed out, there's all these 3-year-old babies and 2-year-old babies and like 6-year-old kids and moms, and here we are like playing this rock and roll music, and he was just like, just wave to the kids, and I was just like playing bass, and I'm like, hi, and it was just like a surreal experience, really amazing, because I love children and I love teaching
Yeah,
children, but that was different when they were 3. but
yeah.
but what are the when you do shows for children? How old are they generally?
Well, generally they are around 5 or 6, like so that they kind of get the idea of rock music, and
Yeah,
usually their parents are also there, so it's kind of some kind of educational, like cultural educational concert. So uh, we usually hide some like rock classics inside the song, or like intros might be from some like Metallica's Enter Sandman or something, so
yeah,
that the parent, they will recognize the song and they get excited, and then it turns to the children's song, and they start to listen to the music different in a different way. So they may hear some uh, familiar thing in the background, although we are playing the children's song on top. So
yeah. I
that's
think
how we do it.
that's a fabulous concept, because you're right. I think that's what the Yo Gabba Gabba people. I mean, they were talking about having like Marilyn Manson and bands like that come on. I don't know if they ended up ever getting that band, but they wanted the the normal children songwriter that comes out with like a little dinosaur costume and is all happy. Of course, that's
Yeah,
great for children, but they wanted to, like you were saying, kind of give the children like a little quick taste of what like a rock and roll band is.
yeah,
That's different than their normal, and it's a good idea, and I think it works really well, and the
yeah,
kids seem to like it. But of course, in small amounts. Like I said, we played one song and then quickly got rolled back, and that was it, in and out.
yeah.
Like quick. Children's attention spans are very short, and it's very cool working with children. So you are, and I took some notes here because I was snooping around on your Instagram and just trying to get some information about you. And
Yeah,
you're a Finnish songwriter, and you're the frontman of the band Ice Eye.
yeah.
So tell me about that band. When did that band start, and what type of music? Of course, you guys sing in Finnish, and you guys have so many music videos. Actually, anybody watching this, check out the band and all the different music videos, which are actually, each one of those videos, I've watched those videos, and they're very, very well produced. Like, they're really good videos.
Thank
Yeah,
you. Thank you.
yeah. So tell us about your band, the Ice Eye.
Ice Eye. It's well, it's basically you could say that it's my solo project. Like it equals to Ilari Hämäläinen, but I like to consider it as the same way like White Snake is David Coverdale, basically. So he's the driving force, and this I like to play in a band, and I like to work together with people, but I don't want to force anyone to put input into a band, you know. So I like to call this Ice Eye a band, although it's driven by me. So it gives the members, it gives them an opportunity to like give input to a band, but it doesn't limit the working for like if they are passive. I don't have to wait for them. So this is the how
Yeah,
the chemistry works there.
I can totally relate to you really quick. We have a rock star in the house, Demi Dallas. He says "sexy Ilari." I don't know if you know who Demi Dallas is, but
I know. Yeah.
he's in a band called Camus, and actually we'll get to that in a second because there was another band called Naked that I believe
Yeah.
that you were in as well. We'll talk about that in a second. But back to what you were saying. I'm going through the same experience right now. I'm playing with Andy McCoy and Demi Dallas, but I'm also doing my own solo project.
Yeah.
And it's called Janaitis, and this is my logo. It's a dinosaur, hammerhead shark J as my initial
All right.
for the Janaitis. And
Brilliant.
I talked to the band. The band I call the Potato Babies, and basically the Potato Babies are musicians that revolve around different players from time to time. Because, like you said, it's hard to I don't want to force anybody to commit to my solo project because it's my solo project. To me, it's really, really important to me, and it's what I want to do. But to the other members, I want them to also feel like, they're part of the band without having to feel like if they don't show up all the time, I'm going to be upset. So that's why I give room to have different players revolve around, like it's in a circle of players, and I can sort of relate to you on that.
And this is like why I think that a group of people, they must have a name like other than just the leader's name.
Yes.
Because when I played with, let's say, when I played with Katri Ylander or Pete Parkkonen, those solo artists, and I noticed that it feels weird when the host, when they like announce the band on stage, and they say let's give a warm welcome to Katri Ylander, and then the first people that arrive on the stage are the other people than Katri, and it feels weird to like
I'm a big Frank Zappa fan, for example, and Frank Zappa and the Mothers of Invention is a good example of where I came up with the Potato Babies, because it's almost like, just like you said, I don't want to walk out on stage and then be like, hey, it's Janaitis, and then the other players are there and they're like, their name isn't Janaitis. It doesn't make any sense. But if they're like another entity, like either naming the band the Ice Eye as the name of the band, or having the solo artist with the Potato Babies or something of the sort, I think I agree with you, because I feel it is awkward. It's awkward for the other players. They almost feel like they're not like on the same level. And when you play in a band, everybody on stage is equal. They're all on stage. They're all performing. And I totally agree with you. Actually, that's actually really good that you brought that up, because I think a lot of aspiring songwriters and bands that watch this live stream are probably going through the same issues. And I know that the solo project has always been around, but it seems like a lot of people are doing it more lately. They're all doing solo projects because it's very hard to rely on. If you have a solid band, like, it's great, but if you don't, it's really hard to get people to rely on, because everybody's busy doing their normal lives, and you can't knock them on that. But
And
so
everybody has their own life rhythm, anyways. So it's very difficult just to make the schedule so that everybody feel free, but yet they commit and like the schedules are working.
So you have a double album, the Valo Vario double album.
Yeah, yeah.
So can you talk a little bit about that?
Well, it's a few years ago. It was like, well, it's almost 10 years ago. 2013. I decided that I want to kind of wake up the melodic rock in Finnish again. Like there were some artists who tried it and who made that kind of music in the late 90s and late 80s and early 90s, but then it had disappeared kind of. It doesn't exist. And so to bring to introduce this kind of music back to people, I thought that I should make some cover songs that they know in the style of melodic rock. So the kind of give them something to hold on, and then meanwhile introduce the music style. So that was the idea of making the Valo album, which means light. And
Yes.
Varjo album, Varjo means shadow, and it's kind of something that happens in the background, and that's my own music in the same style, but my original songs. So I wanted to make two albums in the same music style and let people kind of to get in to the style, to the genre through those cover songs.
So it's a concept album of a sort with the shadow
Of a sort,
and the
yeah.
light. Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, so I have another. And by the way, kiitos paljon, koska minä puhun vähän suomea, mutta I'm still learning. So I appreciate that you're speaking in English today. I know that we're in Finland, and of course we should be speaking in Finnish. But I think this also is good for everybody watching from all around the world, because we do have people from the UK and from the US and from Canada and from all around the world. And speaking of which, we have our Japanese friends. So Hiro and her friend Tomio. Tomio had some questions for you, if you don't mind, if I could ask you. So she was saying, what are your favorite songs to listen to on your free time?
Wow. Favorite songs?
Yeah, maybe like...
If I have to mention... Well, okay. Very recently, there's one song that I seem to get back to, like all the time, again and again. It's a song by One Desire. It's a band that I played for a year, when just before they made their first record or the album, and they just released their second album, and I found one very good song in there. I wish I would remember the name. Well, this was a bad answer because I don't remember the name of the song, but it's
that's okay.
Yeah, it's a kind of it's quite a long song. It lasts almost 7 minutes or so. So, and it has pieces of bands like Toto and Deep Purple. Like I hear many kinds of memories or like influences there, and for some reason it touches me a lot, and I go back to that song again and again.
Is there anything that you listen to that gets you pumped up, like the Rocky theme song or something like that you like to do?
Oh well, sure. Sure. Well, I must one song that if I had to pick one song that I would listen every morning when I have my first cup of coffee, that would be Toto's Pamela. Yeah, the way that that song sneaks in, it's kind of like the dawn, and it's such a shiny song, like very bright and sunny.
Shadow Man, One Desire. That's what somebody wrote.
It's not the Shadow Man, but it's that's the album. It's that song where Jimmy Westerlund is singing the first part of the song. If somebody gets that.
Well, now we know that the album's Shadow Band, the band's One Desire. So we'll have to do some research to find that song, but it's a 7-minute song, so it won't be hard to find. We have Lily Bella saying, "What are some of your favorite bands?" She's from the UK, I believe. I think she's living in the US, but she was saying, "What are some of your favorite bands?" That's a tough question but go for it if you want to take it.
Of course, of course, there are those classic rock bands that are my favorites, like Bon Jovi, Kiss, Van Halen. There are several, Whitesnake. But then there are a lot of new melodic rock bands that I like a lot. Like quite many of them are from Sweden, I think. Like bands like Heat or Eclipse.
Eclipse, yeah, I've heard of Eclipse.
Yeah. Then there's a Swedish band called Work of Art, and also that I just posted a new single from an Italian band called Lionville. It's called a Lionville Project, but you can find that band on Spotify with the name Lionville. It's very melodic, soft, energetic rock.
Well, everybody listening, check out these bands. It is great to see. You know, I've had actually quite a few female artists from Italian bands on the stream recently. There's a lot of good bands coming out of Eastern Europe part of the world. And I think that part of the world, it's of course it's been opening up for years and years and years, but it just seems recently, within maybe the past 10, 15 years, like a lot of some of I had the Temple Balls were on the other day, and they were saying that in Bulgaria was like one of their best gigs. Like the fans there were just crazy, and it seems like that part of the world is really opening up to other parts of the world, and they're expanding, and bands are popping out of there. Italy, especially, a lot of good Italian bands. Yeah, it's really cool. I have another question from Tomio. This one might be, well, you can tell me. She says, if I remember well, and of course this is how she talks, if I remember well, when you attended the Voice of Finland 4 years ago, you could choose either Michael Monroe or Tarja to be your coach, and you chose Tarja, the old Nightwish singer. Was that a difficult decision? And if so, why did you choose her?
Well, it was kind of a difficult decision because we were already kind of friends with Mike at that point. So it was a little bit hard to say no to him, but I knew that Mike would be there for me anyways. So he was actually coaching me anyway, although he wasn't my coach. and the biggest reason to pick Tarja was the major difference between musical taste of mine and Mike's. Michael has a background in punk rock, and he always goes, when you go back to your roots, he goes back there, and that he's like reaching out from that point of music. And for me, unfortunately, punk rock isn't it's not my music at all. I'm more into this epic metal symphonic, where you make things bigger than what they are.
Yeah, so of course she would be the logical choice, and I like your wise decision, because of course if you kind of know Michael, and if you're on a show and you know one of the judges, and you know that you can also work with them off the show anyway,
yeah,
and you have this opportunity to work with. Now I've never met Tarja, but I've listened to her music, and she's a phenomenal singer, and I'm sure she could probably bring something to the table that maybe you wouldn't be able to get with Michael Monroe, like you said, with the punk rock background, and she's like an opera singer, totally different thing. And I, as a singer myself, I would love to learn like some of those techniques of being like a phenomenal singer, using your voice as well as she does. So I think that's a good answer. That totally makes sense. I'd have to probably be on the same page as you if I was in that situation. That you're dissing your friend, I'm sure he probably knows why he did that too.
No, it was well, he was joking about that all the time. That, you made a bad choice picking Tarja, but we stayed friends, and we have been playing together after that also. Yeah,
and of course I messed up. It was not Tomio that asked you that question. It was Hiro, and I know Hiro, you asked that question. She had another question for you, if you don't mind, because I know we should start maybe wrapping it up soon. But let's just have a couple more questions. I think it would be great.
Yeah.
She said, this is Hiro asking. She says, back in 2009, you played in Japan with a band called Naked, former band of Camu, which I have Camu coming on in a couple days. And I was in the audience. Do you remember anything about the show and the trip to Japan with that band Naked?
I do remember. Not much from the show itself, but I remember things that happened before the show. It was my first time in Japan, at all, and the culture, that how precise the technicians are there, it was phenomenal. Well, in Finland and in Europe, whenever they have asked what kind of a backline I want to use, gear, I have always sent them my preference, which has always been a Trace Elliott HAX 600 or something, and with it's a bass amp from the 80s, and I used to own that kind of system myself. So I have always asked for that and never got it before. So the Japan tour or the Japan gig was the first time that I got exactly what I asked, and there were 6 bands on that show playing after each other. They had 6 drum sets waiting for each drummer there, with their own drum raisers, and although there might be 6 guitar players who used the same Fender Twin amp, they had 6 of those too. For after one guitarist having his sound check, nobody was allowed to touch that anymore, and even the musicians were not allowed to touch their gear. These Japanese technicians, they took off took care of everything, like every single detail, and that
That's
that
cool.
was amazing. Yeah,
What year? But I'm curious myself. What year was that around?
yeah. It was the 2009, I think.
Hey,
Yeah.
that's interesting because I actually my first gig in Japan was around 2009 as well, and I remember, among other things, that Japan is just an amazing place to be, and the people are amazing. But also, I remember that at the venues that we played at, every backstage had a big screen TV with cameras on the stage, so you can
Oh
be
yeah,
backstage and you can watch the other bands. And I remember thinking back then, like, man, these guys are really like smart, and like that's such a good idea. Like, because venues in the U.S. are usually dumps, crappy
yeah,
things falling apart, and they would never like. You're lucky if you get a backstage, and then of course you wouldn't get a flat screen TV with the camera view of the stage. And I remember it was just like, wow, this is really nice here in
yeah,
Japan.
yeah. And also another thing in Japan that I remember well was the devotion of the fans. Like they could have been
Yeah,
waiting outside the hotel for the whole day for just for you to arrive. And one thing, this necklace, I got this in the airport in Japan just before
okay.
leaving. A Japanese girl, she traveled to the airport just to farewell and give this to me.
Wow.
And ever since, I've had it in my neck all the time. Unfortunately, I don't remember who was she, and I don't think we had met before. But yeah, it was such a big gesture that I have decided that I'm going to wear this for the rest of my life.
That's really sweet, and that must have been a big impact on you because we, traveling around and playing shows, you meet people all the time, and people give you things. There's been a few times when I still have a few things from here and there that people have given me, and I think that's really sweet. And also, there's a big Japanese following here on this live stream, and between Hiro and Tomio, I bet you they'll probably end up finding out who that girl was. I bet maybe that would be cool if we could ever figure that out for you, and
Yeah,
she was able to say hi to you. We should work on
yeah,
that. Um, and I also think that you are a man of many trades in the music business. Like you said, you're going everything from children's music, writing and composing, playing in rock and roll bands, making those cool videos, which, like I said, anybody that wants to see your videos, they're all, it's easy to get to just Google it or something and your videos will pop up, you have many of them. But you also are doing producing, writing, and directing theater and musicals, and you're starring in lead roles of them.
yeah,
Um, that's a whole different life. That's a whole different world. But
yeah.
but how do you feel that benefits doing theater and then also playing rock and roll? Is there a benefit of being able to do both, or is it's just you just have to be super talented to even think about it? Because I've never thought about doing theater, and to me it's like you have to remember words and lines, and then you're writing pieces, and wow, like that's you to give you a lot of credit. That's a lot of work that you're doing. So, what is it about the theater that you like so much?
Um, the thing that I love in theater is the like the concept, like having a big story, like putting all that music into a big story. Like it's so much bigger package, and having having all the emotions written inside there, and having the background to the music, like the story background. And mm, I think that's the main thing, that I like bigger packages than just songs.
That's
Like
what she said. That's what she
yeah,
said.
yeah. I like to listen to albums instead of songs. And if they are concept albums, I like them better. And if they have a story and they could be performed on stage with the story, I would like them even better. And the the highest high of musical is when the composer writes it as a musical from the beginning. So all the melodic, some musical themes follow throughout the whole story, and usually the different themes that have like different characters and actors, they relate to each other so that they could work as a duet, or like it's very intelligent when it goes deep enough. And you could think of like the quintet part of West Side Story. There are 5 different themes, and 5 different characters singing at the same time, and they all become like one big song. So Leonard Bernstein has been like very genius when he has been writing that music, that all the music in that musical comes together in one song.
You've worked on sharing a lead role in Bohemian Rhapsody musical?
It was called Bohemian Rhapsody, but it wasn't the Queen thing. It was just a name for like I don't know. It was this little Christmas time, and just wasn't such a big thing. that one.
One thing that comes to mind when it comes to musicals is this one called Jesus Christ Superstar.
Yeah.
That, like, not that I'm saying I have a problem with theaters and things like that, but generally it's not my thing. It's not my style to be involved with those, which is okay. We all have our own preferences, but sure. I will say that, well, you said West Side Story is another one that I find interesting, but Jesus Christ Superstars to me is like so amazing, and not just like the plot and the story behind it, but like the singing and the songs in that song. I mean, they're really, really good. Like even somebody like myself that's not really into theaters, and I'm like, I really like that one. I've seen that like quite a few times actually.
Yeah,
I like watching that. It's really good.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Me too. That is one of my favorites. Like I could say in top 3 or something.
Okay.
And especially I think I like it because I have been singing the Judas part in that musical.
Really?
Yeah.
Well,
and
see that means I'm learning to be a singer. I've come to realize that I will sound just like me. It took me a while to figure that out, but I sound like me, and I would love to be able to be a little bit more technical because then I could do more. Not because I think being a technical singer means you're better. It just means that you can do more with your voice.
Yeah.
And if you want to do more, then that's what you need to work on. And I think it's great. How did you? And like I know we should wrap this up soon, but how did you ever take voice lessons or anything, or did you do this all on your own?
I started studying voice in 2012 as a professional student. So I had my school in Metropolitan University of Applied Science.
Sounds right.
Yeah. So I was studying there to be a voice teacher myself. So I had like voice lessons every day with different. I had 3 different teachers. One was classical. One was this complete vocal technique, and one was this musical technique called whatever. So everybody taught me some different things, and then I realized that singing is like going to gym. So it's your muscles that you have to rehearse and practice. So I rehearsed like every single day for, let's say, 3 hours, just the technique. and I didn't mind that it sounded horrible. I knew that I'm just working out my muscles right now. And after doing that, I think I could slowly turn that muscle memory into art, like very slowly. But that's how it happened, like initially.
Yeah, I know. I try to practice these like goo 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 and like little scales and things like that because I understand
Yeah.
that it is muscle memory and but like you said, it's just it takes time and I think that's the one benefit of being technically a good singer because if you want to have the ability to do more with what you're doing with your voice, then that's what brings you to the next level. Of course, there's singers that are like grungier singers like myself who can get away with kind of just staying sort of in the same
Yeah.
range with like a little raspier voice or whatever. But I also feel that it's great to be able to go outside of those limits if you want to do more, sing higher,
Yeah.
things like that. So I think it's great. I think that I will definitely have to keep practicing myself. And you know, like you said, it takes practice. So
Yeah.
I think we should start wrapping this up. I think that Darkling, I wanted to read a comment really quick. She said it would be amazing if that girl in Ilari could meet face to face after a long time that gave you the necklace. So people are working on that for you. I think that could actually happen. Maybe you could find her. Christy76 says, "Hi, Ilari. You have quite the fans here that are saying hello to you." And you know, I think we should definitely do this again. Maybe in a couple of months when you are playing some more shows and maybe you release some new songs, we can have you back
Yeah.
on and you can talk about it and see how things are going. But I think it was great today. I had a really good time. I'm glad to
Me
finally
too.
get to meet you. I hope we can maintain a relationship just like I've been doing this with everybody that comes on. I've been meeting so many fabulous people from all around the world, especially a lot of people from in Finland, of course. And I'm just happy to establish relationships and possibly future collaborations with people. And just in general, it's good to have people in the music scene stay together and work together somehow. So this
Yeah.
is one thing that we can do and share our stories to people that are interested. So is there anything that you would like to say before we go? Any like websites or places that you would say for people that are interested in looking you up that they could go to?
Uh, I think if you follow my like Instagram or Facebook, the official Facebook, you will get all the information uh, as there's something happening. And of
Yeah.
course, if you are interested in the background, you can go to my website and look what I have been doing in my past.
Okay, and I'll put a link to your website in the description after this. And it's interesting to ask because I ask everybody, and a lot of people, I would say maybe 80% of people just rely on their Instagram or Facebook as their main source, which
Yeah,
nowadays it seems like that's enough. Not as many people have websites, although websites are still prevalent and people do have them. So it's
yeah,
good to know that you have one because I think that they are very helpful because they kind of have everything that you need to know if you go to your website. So I'll put that link in as well. But everybody follow Ilari. Check out his videos. Like I said, those videos are amazing. And, you know, I know that there's a lot of work that goes into them and you have quite a few of them. So you should, even if they're 5 years old, 6 years old, definitely check them out. And you're an amazing person to have on the stream today. And I'm really happy to have you. Thank you, Hiro, for getting you to join the chat with me today. And like I say at the end of every stream, I will see you on the next stream. Rock and roll. Say bye-bye.
bye bye.